Welcome. I'd like to welcome all of you to the January 5th, 2022 Downtown Development Board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask everyone to silence your phones or make sure your phones are on silent at this time. Refrain from private conversations that might disturb everyone else. To the board members, if you would remember to speak clearly and to lean forward so that the microphones can pick up your comments. So we'll begin by having our board members and ex officio members introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Ray Sano.
Shahab Emrani.
Keenan Kinsel.
Paris Morphopoulos.
Festus Porbeni.
Caitlin Jammo.
Terry Nowitzki.
Frank Hebert.
Mark Bunker.
Very good. So we'll move to item number 2, and we'll take up the minutes of the December 3rd, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any corrections that they would like to request? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes of the December 3rd meeting?
Motion to adopt.
Okay. Terry makes the motion. Is there a second? Ray? Okay, is there any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Let's go to item number 3, citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. Comments are limited to matters that are relevant to the DDB. Comments on items on the agenda will be held until the agenda item is called. Speakers must identify themselves clearly for the record, and there's a strict time limit of 3 minutes. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Patrick Raftery. I'm a 42-year resident, city of Clearwater. I reside in the countryside area. I've been attending the Downtown Development Board meetings as I have a vital interest in the efforts that are going to be undertaken to develop the downtown. For that reason, I do recall a meeting, perhaps it was the 3rd of November, may have been the 1st of December, that under the category of the chairman's report, I believe the chairman indicated he might be giving some proactive recommendations or initiatives for the board to consider to undertake in the development of the downtown area. And I believe the evening he spoke about that, he decided to defer it to the next meeting, and I don't think it happened at the next meeting. My only question is that still an issue that you intend to present to the board as well as the public, and when would it be done?
Thank you for bringing that up. I was not able to attend the meeting in December, so that's why nothing happened in December. Mm-hmm. And I will be bringing it up in my chairman's comments today.
Very good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for keeping tabs on it. Any other citizens to be heard?
Well, it's a pleasure. I'm Tony from Nash Keys. We're opening a Julian Piano Bar around here locally. I've met some of you guys personally, and then throughout the time, I'm constantly wandering, building my little restaurant. Well, I'm just here to kind of figure out what we're doing to downtown to develop the downtown. We have a lot of kind of things that I believe that we're missing, fundamentally in the downtown. I know we talked to Sheila prior about the online presence and really kind of understanding it. I know there was no website for about a year, and that was unusual to me. I've had some plans and suggestions that I'll be happy to, I wrote out and I'll give them to you guys. Some of them were that I've really found out from the visiting the Dunedin area. I'm sorry, it's hard to pronounce it. Public speaking is not my forte, but I'm trying my best. And I just feel like right now it seems like a construction site. It's very uninviting and unappealing. Even though we've done the best we can to try to make it look nicer and stuff like that, we really need to focus more on beautifying the area and making it more of a permanent kind of fixture. So it brings more attention to the downtown. We can use simple examples like we see in St. Pete's and Dunedin, where it really attracts a more diverse crowd. We focus very, very much on attracting a certain demographic, and that's fine and pertinent for most restaurants. But it's not necessarily pertinent for all restaurants. And I feel like that's kind of where we lose sight of it in this area. Dunedin has a diverse upper working class demographic that will spend money. So I think if we appeal it and make it more accessible, it would bring a lot of life to this area. We really want those kind of people here. I think by doing that, we should really focus on website optimization and social media branding. I think having a common narrative for our town is super important and really goes a lot further than one thinks. A common streamlined narrative allows the consumer or our future patrons or soon-to-be patrons to have a greater understanding of what we can really do here. Because I have a restaurant back north. I came here once and I bought into this, really did. I thought it's beautiful. I saw the area. I worked with the town in upstate New York that we did a similar thing. I built a brewery there, really turned the town around, and I really see a great potential here with the amphitheater. So I really want to see this town grow, but I think that we lack a lot of fundamental issues, not only with our online presence, but parking and accessibility. Parking and accessibility is a huge issue here, and I don't think it's that we don't offer free parking, it's that we don't necessarily know how to navigate the free parking. There's no cohesiveness and no narrative that flows consistently throughout our different tiers of marketing. We have a website who doesn't really, doesn't really illustrate how we have free parking, where we have free parking, and where it is. Also, I was working time with Uber to make it a stand where we have free parking available, like drop-offs. I know I'm running out of time, right? Well, I tried to do the best I could,
Yeah.
and you.
I just have a question for you. I missed where your restaurant is.
It's right on 520 Cleveland Street. It's called the Nashville Keys.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I really love this town. Yeah.
Great.
So, but yeah, we're looking to purchase the place right next door, Pour Yours, hopefully. We might finalize something. We're trying our best, but we're a bunch of kids from New York with a dream, you know. My friends moved down here. We're building it up, trying our best.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for your interest.
Yeah. I have a piece of paper that I wrote out for you guys, too.
We'd love to get it.
Awesome.
I would love to get it.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other citizens to be heard? Okay. Let's move on to item number 4, new business, 4.1. If Ann Lopez would administer the oath of office to our new term board members.
Good evening, Ann Lopez, CRA Program Specialist. This first agenda item that we have today is the swearing in of our newly elected or re-elected members, Caitlin and Festus, so if you'll please stand. Raise your right hand, say your name where I say mine. I, Ann Lopez,
I, Festus Bellini,
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and the charter and laws of the city of Clearwater,
and the charter and laws of the city of Clearwater,
and the bylaws of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board,
and the bylaws of the city of Clearwater Downtown Development Board,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the charter and laws
under the charter and laws
of the City of Clearwater,
of the city of Clearwater,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties of member
perform the duties of member
of the board
of the
of the board
on which I am now about to enter.
which I'm now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome back. Okay, and now while you're there, Ann, if we could move on to item 4.2, and that's to elect the new slate of officers.
Sure. So this agenda item is to appoint the new officers that will serve on the Downtown Development Board for the 2022 year. Every year you elect a new chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. So we will first start with a appointment of a chairperson.
Feel free to make nominations, folks.
Yes, I nominate our current chair. He's done a great job, so
Okay,
why not continue?
we're open for additional nominations too.
We like
Okay, are there any more
Second.
nominations? Okay,
Would you second my nomination?
Yes.
Well, it appears to be a done.
They still have to vote, correct?
They don't have to vote on one side.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, you don't have to second the nomination, you just make nominations.
Yeah,
Good.
okay.
Unless you would like to be nominated also.
I'm good.
You're good?
Our next seat is for vice chair.
Nominate you.
Me too.
No, sir.
Are there any additional nominations for the vice chairman? Looks like we have one nominee.
Okay. Secretary?
I nominate Kayleen.
It is appreciated.
And our last position is treasurer.
Okay, you don't have to nominate and second, but somebody has to say it out loud.
Yes.
Asked us.
Okay.
Are there any additional nominees for treasurer? We're the only one that can write the checks.
Terry, are you thinking about that?
Control.
No, not really.
Okay,
Just ask.
so it looks like we have a slate.
Okay.
So let's move on to item 4.3. Thank you, Em.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the November 2021 financial statement, if you'd give us an
Sure.
intro on it.
So before you, we are requesting approval of the November 2021 financials. As outlined in your agenda item are the expenditures for November. They totaled $29,361.65. And your ending balance was $928,784.35. And as discussed at our December meeting, additionally, we will be providing you every month with where you stand on your budgeting categories. So as of December 13th, the DDB has allocated $122,955,000 from your marketing line, and your remaining balance is $127,000. You have allocated $0 from your business assistance line. You have remaining in there $200,000. In your policy and project work, you've allocated $0. You have a remaining balance of $27,550. Any questions?
Is this on the year-to-date one or on the other one?
It's actually in the agenda summary.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right. Very good. I'm good. Okay, so do we have any questions from the board? All right. Are there any citizen comments on the financial statement? Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the November 2021 financial statement for filing?
I move to adopt the November 2021 financial statement as outlined here.
Second?
And Caitlin seconds, okay. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Let's move on to item 4.4. Howard will take this one. It's the funding request from Party Pirates on the Rocks, Inc., the pirate invasion of the district.
Good evening, Board. Howard Smith, Business Assistant Administrator for the Community Redevelopment Agency. The purpose of this item is to request approval of funding for the Party Pirates on the Party Pirates on the Rocks private invasion of the district, not to exceed $12,400. Now, this is a change than what was originally submitted in the original funding request. And this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, I provided you all an updated email that showed a amended budget. Since that time, I've been working with the event planner, and for the new ask of the board, I work with the event planner to kind of streamline that process and amend the acts. So what you have in front of you, or what was supplied, was an amended budget with an amended funding amount. So since 2018, the Party Pirates in the Rocks is a nonprofit organization that hosts an annual flotilla event that takes place in Pinellas County. And the purpose of the event is to bring the community together and be able to raise money for the Florida Youth Ranch Association. So for this funding request for the pirate invasion of the district, it will take place on January 29th. It would be from the hours from 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock. And this event is also supported by the DCMA, where they would work with the event planner to be able to have public seating at outside restaurants at the 400 block. Originally, it was designed to be at the 500 and 600, but since this is a first-time event, working its way through the event process, it's been shrunk down to just take place at the 400 block of Cleveland Street. With that, for the process, what will happen is that 35 boats will actually come into Clearwater Harbor, and I've also talked to the harbor master to assure that they will accommodate the reservations and the acts of the requester to have those 35 boats docked at the Clearwater Harbor, so they're able to do that. So the boats will come in, and then from there, Party Pirates are contracted with the Jolly Trolley to provide direct transportation from the marina to the downtown Clearwater area for the 400 blocks. And then from there, the pirates will show up in full regalia and the invasion will begin. The total cost of this project is $41,839.48, which includes the marketing, operational expenses, and in-kind donation by the Party Pirates and their volunteers. DDB funding, if approved, we request that it will be to support the operational costs and the marketing expenses, which includes city permitting fees, marketing for the paid advertisement, print and social media, Jolly Trolley transportation, and the boat docking fees in addition to the live music. What I provided to you, which is in front of you now, is the actual budget. And so in looking at the budget, the cost breakdown, there's about $8,000 in city fees. And then the remainder of that for the other $4,400 would be the marketing costs. So we have everything from the permitting, police, the stage, the Jolly Trolley fees that are there, in addition to the cost of the band, which is a reduced amount from what was originally submitted. It is our recommendation that the board fund this event not to exceed a total cost of $12,400. In addition to that, this grant does align with the DDB 2021 work plan to fund the production and the marketing of various events that take place in downtown, and also shows and highlights downtown as a fun place to the citizens. And from that, if the board decides to fund it, then we would complete a funding agreement that would outline their responsibilities as a funding requester and also outline the responsibilities of the DDB. Part of that will be is making sure that this event is able to be permitted. So in the event that it's not able to be permitted, then with that being said, we would not go forward with issuing any dollars. And I do want to say that they are working with the special events committee right now to go through that process. So they should probably know something within the next couple of weeks whether or not it will take place. And it is an event that will require a permit by the city. And from there, funds in this grant are available in the marketing category line item 182941. And this request for $12,400 is below the $75,000, which is 30% of the DDB's $250,000 marketing budget. And tonight I have for you the president. Her name is Stacey Myers. She's the president of the Party Pirates in the Rocks. She's here to answer any questions, and she also provided you all as board members with an outline to review. Like that, I'm going to call up Stacey.
Good evening. I'm Stacey Myers.
Welcome.
I'd like to start off by telling you a little bit about what has been taking place. So in 1904, Tampa Morning Tribune Society page editor Luis Francis Dodge and U.S. Customs Service professional George Hardy put their heads together to create a campaign to promote the Tampa Bay area. To make it a success, they enlisted a number of young local businessmen to add a bit of fun into their annual May Day celebration. The results, some 50 men invaded the Tampa area via horseback, claiming the city in honor of their long-deceased leader, Jose Gaspar. Fast forward 118 years, the annual Gasparilla Festival brings in some 300,000 people into Tampa for the parade. The flotilla invasion alone creates some $22 million in economic impact. Mrs. Dodge and Mr. Hardy would be proud because their crazy idea worked. Fast forward to 2018, and I want to stop here because I need to make a correction in what was said previously. My nonprofit started in 2020, the events and the parades that we started back in 2018. It got so big that we went ahead and created a nonprofit to run funding and things through so that we could support the local charities. So just a quick correction. Fast forwarding to 2018, on this side of the bay, a group of 6 weary wenches, in reality female business professionals, decided there's a better way to celebrate Gasparilla than spending an 11-hour day on the rough Tampa Bay waves. They decided to create a complimentary celebration on the Pinellas Gulf Coast, a party with a purpose, to raise money, like most crews do, for the sheriff's youth ranches. Even though COVID protocols last year, the group raised $10,000 to provide basic essentials, food, clothing, education, and medical care for the at-risk kids in Florida, many in our own community. Oh, and they plundered their own wallets to spend $80,000 at just one local restaurant. It's not a bad off-prime time afternoons. So it's kind of slow during those months. It works out really well. Word of mouth and past success has turned this flotilla to fun, into a 35-boat parade, bringing hundreds of people to one of many marinas available along our coast. Due to the construction at the Indian Shores Marina, and it's not what you know, but who you know, opportunity came down from downtown Clearwater. A working relationship with the wisest of wenches, that would be me, with a former manager of Caddy's Restaurant who currently works in the district, also put our heads together. Why not create a new signature event, a new downtown tradition, at the very tipping point, imagine Clearwater's debut? Our goal is to create an amazing first-time experience, our captains and their crew coming up from the South Gulf shores and across the state, along with welcoming our residents back downtown, the district. Try us again for the first time. We're hoping that the Downtown Development Board considers coming on board to support what we believe can become an amazing first-time event in downtown Clearwater. We have the track record, we have the team, and we have the momentum and the motivation, and now we need your support to make that happen. So I provided you with an outline and a proposal, and if you have any questions, I'll be willing to take those.
Questions, board?
Yes. So is this simultaneous that happens in the Tampa Bay, or it's a,
Yes, it's on the same day as Gasparilla.
so it'll be a different bunch of winches will attack Clearwater?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. I'm a bit unclear as to what the event consists of. Like, what will occur starting at noon and going on till 6? What will, if I was out on the street, what would I see?
You would see the flotilla coming down the intercoastal, of the 35 boats. We would come into the marina. We get on the trolleys. We come in as a group into the district, kind of create a little hoopla, lots of color, lots of fanfare. And that's going to be over 350 pirates coming in at one time to create a block party. We have bands set up, and the restaurants within the district are going to provide the food and drink.
Okay. And then so they'll have, I imagine, lunch or a late lunch, and the party will go on till about 6 p.m.?
We plan on ending it at 5.
At 5? Okay, so it'll be basically lunch, right? Okay. Yes?
And they'll have lunch at the restaurants in downtown?
Yes.
Okay.
And 35 boats will have 350 passengers?
Yes, they're large boats.
Oh, okay.
Each boat is required to bring in 10 pirates on each boat. Several of the boats are 50-plus foot long, so they bring in 40 or 50 pirates each.
Okay.
I'm curious, how far downtown would you, as the group, cover? Only
The 400 block is what we're asking for.
they're not parading further out?
Correct. This is a small event that we hope for next year we'll prove ourselves this year so that you'll want to do this with us next year. And we can make it bigger. I'm on a limited time schedule right now with creating this event. We normally hold it down in Indian Shores, and they have Caddies has boat dockage and accommodations for us, and they're under construction. I've been wanting to bring and expand up the coast. This was a perfect opportunity to ask. Yes.
What are the odds that you'll go back to Indian Shores next year?
Well, I'm thinking we can do both. Not that the cruise that we have here, we would just add more, make it 60 boats, send 30 down there, 35 or more up here, and keep expanding.
Okay, I have another question, and you probably don't have the answer to this, but maybe Scott does. I'm curious, are there 350 or 400 seats capacity in our 400 block restaurants?
So, Scott Sousa, Downtown Clearwater Merchants Association. I mean, the event probably would be most similar to a Blast Friday that we've had in the past. So, originally the goal was to do it all the way down to Station Square and do it back and forth. But unfortunately, with the time constraints and the permitting process, we decided at the last minute to try and keep it a little bit smaller and keep it just on the one block. We've been involved with Chris Cook. He's amazing as always, helping. And he committed to me today that he absolutely loves this idea and wants to do it next year and have the city be a partner with it next year. It's just too short of a time frame to be able to make that happen with all the processes and everything that has to be gone through. So these people, Stacey's done just had an amazing job. I met her 2 months ago when we first got told about this project. The goal would be for this to happen, and down at the park, and Imagine Clearwater would take over, and be the site. You had 2,000 people, I believe, last year?
Last year, yes. Year before, a little bit more like 2,000.
It's been a much larger event, so we're kind of scaling it down and working with it just on the one block. Originally, we were like, oh, great, let's blow this out, and we'll have 4,000 people. It just walk before we run. I think before we both agreed, for all of our sakes, walk before running. And the goal would be also to have other things going on at the same time, and that was what Chris and I were talking about today. Is how we can further enhance it down the road, but not this year.
My question, Scott, is how many seats are there if you add up the restaurants on the 400 block?
There are not that many seats, but this is a walking event.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how many there are. Do you have a number?
I don't for sure, but I mean, I know there's probably 150 seats outdoors.
That's what I'm thinking.
Just somewhere in that ballpark.
So it would be a couple of turns.
Yeah, and people will go inside.
It's 5 hours. It should.
They've got. I mean, you can tell them about taking over the city, and I think you're going to see about hanging the mayor or something. Right?
We've done that. We have done that at Caddies, where we captured the manager and stole the soup spoon, and we do a lot of.
He does look excited. Let's put it that way.
Are you volunteering, Mr. Mayor?
I'm curious, what kind of city permits does that involve, and also the difficulties with that? Just curious.
So the permit is going to be pretty basic. The layout, the setup would be, we're going to set up a stage on the Osceola end on the north side of the street. So it would be where Valor Capital is, right there. The stage will be set up there, facing the seating, outdoor seating towards Fort Harrison. And then people will come up the hill. We're using the Jolly Trolley because it's inconvenient to get up. They'd have to walk up the piers from the marina and come back around. It's a long walk up the hill. So the Jolly Trolley is going to bring people up, and then they'll do the invasion at that end at the Capitol Theater end of the block, and then wander up and down, and we'll have beer trucks set up for to sell beer. All the restaurants are all being heavily encouraged to be serving outdoors. They have tables set up outside, and just make it a great outdoor event. Pray for nice weather, of course. But the pirates come no matter what, rain or shine. So
that's good news. But I was just curious.
Well, as far as what I understand from talking with Chris, and the same thing with the harbor master and going through the normal event process, this will involve law enforcement. So if you're talking about bringing 1,000 or 800 people, there has to be a control of the flow of traffic. So there could be potentials of rerouting traffic from the Fort Harrison side and the Osceola side. So it's just a matter of making its way through that permitting process and then contacting traffic. The same thing with law enforcement, in addition to special events, which Stacey, like I said, she's working with Chris Crook to be able to do that. But it was also my understanding in our conversation is that for those businesses that are non-restaurants, there will be public seating provided out in front of their spaces. This is open to the public. So when we talk about the additional seating, so the DCMA is working with those other merchants on the 400 block to be able to have public seating for people to be able to come and sit too. So if you got your food at Clear Sky when you were done, if you want to go, for an example, over in front of the one-stop shop and sit, you could be able to sit there and be able to enjoy the music. That was my understanding of our conversation.
Yeah, we will bring out all the others, the Blue City tables that, we have those all hidden away just so the homeless aren't residing at them 100% of the time. But we'll certainly have all those out and have more. And we're also inviting all of the other members of the district or the Merchants Association, whether they're on the 400 block or not, to come down and set up a table and show your wares and be involved, showcase your business and whatnot. So, the goal next year would be to we had planned on doing bouncy houses and all sorts of family things going on as well, and we'll get there. But the real issue is crossing Fort Harrison and being able and shutting Fort Harrison down is a major project that it takes more than just a month of planning. So.
Okay, so I just want one more question here. If so we're talking 350 pirates, but you're throwing the number around of 2,000 or something. Those are other people that are going to come from.
The number of 2,000 came from last year's event.
And those were pirates or
No,
other people?
it was a lot of the community that dressed like pirates that came into the establishment and joined in on the fun. The dancing, the band, we do some choreography, dancing to some of the songs that the band does. It gets people up and dancing and having fun. It's not just a come sit down and drink a beer and do nothing. We try to engage with the community.
So your social media advertising is intended to draw just general public to come and attend? What ratio do you think you'll have of other attendees to pirates? Like, you'll have 1 for 1 or 2 for 1 or?
I don't think any of us really know, but I think we would be pleased probably if we had 1,000 people total coming down, so that would be 2 to 1, people, outsiders coming in. And we will be marketing very heavily some of the areas a little south of here that we don't normally market to, all the way down to Indian Shores and Bel Air through there, because that's where they've been before and successful and know them. They've got quite a. You should show them some of your books you have. I mean, she has hardbound books of pictures.
I put some pictures in there.
All sorts of,
I think if you provide free beer for the mayor and the
well, that would be illegal.
CRA
We're
and
not
the
pressing with that, but
I'm
he's
just-
an elected official.
I'm just making suggestions, and the police department, maybe they'll forward the permit in a little faster.
Keenan?
Actually, I have a question for the mayor. Is this the type of ongoing event, several thousand people, that is envisioned as part of the new park?
Well, I think it certainly would be a lot easier with the park, the landing. I think the Jolly Trolleys are a good idea. But I think we're looking for diverse type of events. So this certainly, if it stays family friendly with bounce houses and whatnot, that would certainly fit in. As far as special permits, I know Chris has been working with them, but normally you have to have them completed 30 days prior to the event. So we're kind of fast tracking this, should you all decide that you want to help with it.
So, family friendly versus, this doesn't resemble Mardi Gras at 3 in the morning?
No, sir.
And that's part of the reason we're doing it in the middle of the afternoon, that it's,
Correct.
it's not intended to be a giant drunk fest. Yes, people will be drinking and enjoying. I mean, that's a given. But that we want families and kids and younger people, and that's what has been, who they've brought in over the past, doing it for good cause, of course.
Festus, you had a comment?
Yes, just a quick question. What exactly are the logistical constraints that prevents it from going to the 500 block and the 600 block this time? Is it the permitting, is it money, or just time?
It's just shutting down Fort Harrison is a major deal. And, to do something along those lines. It just couldn't be done in this time constraint, so.
Okay, so if we had more time, probably,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, Chris literally said, this week, I will email you the permit to have a co-sponsorship with the city for the event in which we can go all the way down to Station Square. The other thing that's been cut back a little bit is they had a whole VIP section that one person was actually completely marketing that they would sell corporate sponsorships. And we would like to use that Station Square for that, probably is the ideal spot. And then we can get flow going back and forth and then have music in several spots. So originally there were going to be probably 2 or 3 bands and a DJ. Now we've cut it down to just one for simplicity and ease of operation. So like I said, it's just walking before running, but it's intended to be a family event that's, fun for the city. And I did not know this ahead of time, but once I started talking about this and talking to other people, it's amazing how many people do not want to make that drive to Tampa for Gasparilla, because it's a long way to be driving, it's a long way to be drinking. They did an amazing job last year of making sure nobody drives and that there are Uber stations set up that we will do that there's drop-off spots for people to come and go that are not the pirates and wenches. And who can't say the word wenches without smiling, by the way. But making sure everybody's safe and doing the right thing there.
Okay, I had an additional observation. Normally, if those of us that have been on the board for a while know that I have a deep interest in the cost per head. And that's one of the criteria that I use to judge whether it's worth spending the money or not. And this is a very big ask per person. One thing that alleviates some of that concern is that you're forecasting 2 public for every pirate, which brings the number up to 1,000 people. Because at 350 people, it's like $35, $40 a head that you're asking from the DDB, which is an excessive amount, in my view, to bring for the board to pay to bring one body downtown for a few hours. I think we could easily draw thousands more people by just handing out $20 bills and saying, spend these in the local restaurants.
Mr. Chair,
I could be back next month for that. If that's a
if this is successful and it does happen and it repeats, then even $100 a person at the first time, but the second and third time, it will basically
And here's my fear, that if we're not able to pull this off this year, that they're going to go back to Indian Shores, they're going to go to Johns Pass, somewhere else, and we're going to lose it permanently.
Yeah.
So I think we have an opportunity to have something that's really special in Clearwater.
Yeah,
Would be awesome.
it helps my thinking to think that there's going to be 2 additional public drawn in for every pirate that comes, because that reduces the cost per head to a number that I can live with much better.
I mean, I think we can make it. Clearwater Jazz is near and dear to my heart. I personally have spent more money and time and energy helping them, but I think we could have a better job than they did. Not for the Wanderlust at Station Square, not at the park so much, but
right.
Like I said, I love them. Gary's amazing, and I will do everything continue to keep
And
helping those
I
guys.
endorse that completely. Yeah.
What day of the week is it?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Okay. Is there any other question from any board member?
No, sir.
Caitlin?
This would come from line item 21, the special event grants, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. And now I'm looking for a motion from anyone regarding this agenda item.
Comments?
Oh, first, before we get to that, are there any citizen comments on this proposal? Very good. Okay, now I'm looking for a motion.
I would move to provide the grant not to exceed $10,000 with the contingencies listed, which would include permitting.
Okay, I didn't hear the number.
Up to 10,000.
Okay.
Well,
Or I'm sorry, 12,400. I apologize. I was reading the agenda.
So as amended there.
As amended.
Okay, do we have a second for that? So proposed by Caitlin, seconded by Ray. Okay, now is there any discussion by the board following the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and good luck with it. We look forward to it.
It's going to be successful. Good.
Okay, so let's move on. So now we're on item 5.1, Downtown Coordination Committee update. Is Eric here? There he is.
Eric Santiago, Public Relations and Program Manager. The purpose of this item is to recommend that the Downtown Development Board officially complete their participation in the work of the Downtown Coordination Committee. This will provide the public with a clear end to the DDB's participation in this project. CRA staff presented the results of this committee's meetings at the October DDB hearing. The three non-governmental groups, Amplify Clearwater, Downtown Clearwater Partnership, and Downtown Clearwater Merchant Association, have different missions and operating rules than the DDB, and formal participation by the DDB results in a more complicated meeting process. CRA staff is planning a virtual meeting with these groups at the end of January to see if they wish to report back on their experiences at the CRA monthly meeting. CRA staff will keep the DDB informed of future coordination meetings if board members would like to attend as individuals. We also recommend allocating time at the June 2022 board meeting to discuss any funding requests or new program ideas that the Downtown Coordination Committee may wish to work on with the DDB in the future.
Comments, anyone? If I understand what you just said, the DDB is not going to participate actively?
Yes, the DDB would no longer be participating. And
because of the logistical difficulties?
Yeah, and the three other groups, if they wish to continue, which we're bringing them together in January to discuss that, can continue or not continue, which we'll find out at the end of this month, how they want to proceed.
Okay. You have
But
any comments?
individuals can attend as a citizen. Anyone can attend.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have any comments on that, Keenan?
Well, this is a surprise. I've been terminated. Elise, I have a question for you, I think. We can attend, but not more than two, or more than one.
No.
Same problem, right?
Okay. What he's asking you all to do and what makes the most sense for you all to do from a legal standpoint, since you are an entirely different kind of group than these volunteer groups, is to withdraw your participation as a coordinator. If they meet without you guys, they don't have to do public notice. They don't, without you there officially as a participant, they don't have to do the public notice. They don't have to go through the legal requirements that they have to do if you all are there in official capacity. As individuals and as DDB board members, you are allowed to attend any downtown group that is willing to have you attend, all right? But as a board member, somebody who is interested in finding out what the community is doing, not as somebody who has been appointed by the DDB to attend. If you are not there in an official capacity, and if you guys, and this is like attending any other meeting, if there's more than one of you there, don't sit there and discuss it between yourselves, okay? Then you're violating sunshine law. You can sit, you can listen, you can ask questions, but be very careful that there's no indication that you are discussing DDB issues with each other outside of the DDB published meetings, okay? So it is your job to go and see what the community is doing. It is your job to attend other people's meetings if they want you there. You just don't have to do it as an appointed member to go to that meeting. If you do it as an appointed member to go to that meeting, you are imposing additional legal requirements on that group.
Okay. I think I get it.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, understood.
Okay.
This was discussed, I think, earlier, if I'm recalling.
Yes, it was. Now, my understanding was that the original motivation for having this coordination was to have us all working in the same direction, and that we provided the framework and the notices, and the DDB covered the cost and the administrative overhead of advertising and all. So So I'm just wondering what led to this, or,
So after the last meeting, which was the coordinate at Collaborative Labs,
right?
we are now at the point where we're going to ask these three groups how and what they want to do and how they want to proceed, which is what we're going to do at the end of this month. So they may decide, which we don't know, they may want to meet more often, they might want to meet less. So we're kind of, now that the DDB brought them together, put them in the workshop, that was the big thing that we wanted to get out of them together. So now that they've gone through that process, we're going to ask them, what do you want next? So for that process, the DDB does not need to be in attendance for that. They will come back though in June and can provide an update.
I'm just curious though, if we were the ones that put this together, why is it discussed without our presence and excluding us as a conclusion when this is our initiative?
To stay closely involved with three of many groups that might ask you for funding, it may not necessarily be illegal, but it's definitely bad optics, okay? You are in a different position than they are in. You are a potential funder.
Yeah.
We don't want other groups looking at you and going, so how do we be, if they're actually in a group with these other three, how do we compete?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that at all. I'm just wondering how, if the board itself, if the board set up this as an initiative, the elected board decided this, and the board is unaware of this change that's happened in our absence, it seems like either it was done administratively on our behalf, or someone is excluded us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just wondering how it took place without us being aware of it till right now.
Well, I can say in the past meetings, we've acknowledged the logistical meetings, both here as well as at the coordination meetings, the logistical challenges associated with us being present,
Right.
and just even openly in those meetings been acknowledged, hey, because we're here, we have to follow all of these steps to get here, which presents a logistical. So it's not a new topic.
Mhm.
I think Keenan and I didn't know that this was, other than seeing it on the agenda, that this was happening. But it's not a new topic that hasn't been discussed before in terms of the DDB's involvement causes logistical challenges.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I don't disagree with the premise that maybe that you should proceed independently. I'm just a bit,
You're wondering why we got involved to begin with.
No, he's asking
no.
what the
Okay.
genesis is of getting off. Who brought this up?
how did this
Is
come
this
about?
staff?
Whose idea is it to?
It's really to publicly state because we are the questions of how the DDB is involved, so to publicly state the DDB is ending their involvement, but also that we still want these three groups to meet in a way that's not going to be complicated.
But who is it that's deciding that the DDB is ending their involvement? We're the DDB and we didn't know about it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So back to the mayor again, Mr. Mayor. It seemed like you originated this idea, or the concept anyway, and then we ran with it. But your idea to me was that we were the key player in this meeting because of our funding, because of our positions and coordination with city council. So it was kind of that, wasn't it? That you had that idea to put us all together, correct?
You were the convener, and my hope was that having involvement with all four of you, I see times when I think you all have similar goals. Obviously, Amplify goes well beyond downtown Clearwater, but I think that you have parallel goals, and yet you weren't always working together as well as I think you could. And I thought there could be a lot better coordination so that we get more efficacy out of everyone's efforts. I still don't know what the genesis of this was, and nobody seems to answer that question.
Yeah, the question is.
Was it the CRA staff that's recommending this? Is it the city manager? Sure isn't me.
It is the CRA that is recommending to simplify this process by removing the DDB so that 3 nonprofit organizations can meet in a simplified manner, because it has been discussed that the DDB's involvement does add a layer of complication to the meetings between these 3 groups. And because the DDB is the most unique compared to the other 3 nonprofits, that it would just make more sense for the 3 nonprofits to meet.
Okay, and not to pick you as a target or anything, it just seems inappropriate that staff is telling the board that we've been booted out of the organization that we created. It just seems backwards to me that if it's a recommendation that you think it would simplify things or maybe make more sense or whatever, it should be recommended to us, and then we should make a decision whether we want to be in this participation with these other groups that we originated. It seems like we're being undercut in our authority or being bypassed on what's actually our responsibility, not the city staff or the CRA.
So yeah, it is the recommendation that we are making, again, to try to simplify the process moving forward, but it's not it is just meant to try to make things easier in the future.
Yeah, but it's sort of announced as a fait accompli. We're not being asked whether we want to participate or whether we want
Mr.
to
Chairman, it
withdraw.
says recommend completion, so they're recommending, and if you like to, you could say no. That's very simple.
Okay.
Now, if it's too much work for the CRA and it's taken a lot of your time, well, then be nice to give us a briefing. I'd love to hear about it.
Well, I would say, and I can't speak for Amanda, but in terms of the work, I mean, we're the staff of the DDB, so we work to support any initiatives that the DDB has as a board. But I do think that in terms of considering this recommendation, and in light of what Elise said, if the group as a collective decide to undertake certain initiatives, and then they wanted to come back to you as a DDB, then that could definitely pose some optics of, say, of impropriety. Because as a member, if you're at these meetings, you're discussing or deciding some courses of action that they would then want to come and have funded, then how do you address that? So I do think that has to be something that has to be taken into consideration, in addition to the continual layers of communication and support and things that have to transpire to make sure that this meeting is open to the public when there's a presence of two or more board members in these meetings.
Okay.
So we really did want to simplify that process.
Okay, Keaton?
I felt we were just warming up, to be honest. We had, I think, one meeting here, and then the meeting in St. Pete. And for me, just my viewpoint, because I was there, it was great to be involved with Amplify. I don't know those people. I don't spend much time with them. The Downtown Partnership, same thing. So it may be awkward because of all the rules, but apparently politics is awkward. So this is part of the deal. But I think it was good for us to be part of this process with these groups. And I think we should continue doing it.
So anyway, my only point on this, whether it makes sense or not, or whether there's logistical difficulties, is not the point for my comments. My comments are that as the chairman of this board, I have to protect the board's prerogatives and its authority, and I don't want it undermined by other people making decisions on our behalf. If there's something to be changed, we should know about it, and it be presented as a proposal or an idea, not as something that someone has decided or made a firm recommendation on.
Paris, this was brought up at a prior meeting, and our
meeting
role
was
was
that?
brought up at a prior meeting, and it was discussed, and a recommendation was requested by at least one member of the board. And this is a recommendation. They're not telling you what to do, they're recommending. But it was,
Okay.
this is not out of the blue, it was brought up at a prior meeting.
Okay, it just
And it
sounded,
may have
it
been the
didn't
meeting-
sound like
it
a
may have been the
recommendation to
December
me. It
meeting.
sounded like someone made a decision, and nobody on the board seemed to know about it. That's all I want. I don't want to beat it to death.
It's first, I've heard of it as well, so obviously I'm on that coordination group as well, so maybe it sounds to me like that should be something we discuss at our next coordination meeting. We could, kind of decide who we are moving forward and how we're gonna, work together. I'm not saying yes, no, anything, I'm not supporting, not supporting, I'm just saying that it's a group that we all put together that maybe we should figure it out together.
I think the big question you have to ask is there value?
Yes, exactly.
If there's value, then you go through the rigmarole of doing it. If there isn't, disband it.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think I saw the pro of the ending this relationship from legal, and we did discuss earlier that it makes it awkward. But maybe we should do a discussion with the CRA team as far as what are the pros, what are the cons, and then make a decision and go have a resolution that should we disband this or not. Maybe that would be a little bit better way of.
That sounds fair.
And also, I don't know, no reason for you and Caitlin. I mean, if it's you felt that it's good, you should attend, but not as a DEB official membership.
So if I understand you correctly, what I'm hearing, so you wants us to bring this back at the next meeting to kind of outline the pros and cons of the board's participation in the downtown coordination meeting, and then go from there with a recommendation in terms of what you all will or will not do as far as your participation.
Yeah, it would be also useful to consult with the other members of this group and see what are their opinions. If they don't know anything about it at this point, they know as little as we do, then the other members need to be consulted to find out what their interest level is in continuing what we're doing.
Well, the three other groups were going to be invited to come back.
Be invited by who to what?
Be invited by the CRA to come back for those three groups to discuss.
That's the part that I'm concerned with. It was the DDB that created this group, and it was under our auspices. It wasn't the CRA, and now we're being sort of told, you're no longer in it, we're doing it. And I'm just wondering why that is. That doesn't seem proper to me.
I don't think he knows the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was, again, the goal was because of the complexity the DDB adds to this, which was discussed at the October meeting, that the easiest way to move forward was without that level
All
of
very
complexity.
valid, but we should be consulted because we're the elected body that's actually heading this. So we should be consulted, not told that this is going to happen or how it's going to be. Okay, anyway, that's all I want to say about it. Where are we on this? Is there a resolution?
If I may suggest that I have CRA give us a little bit of a pros and cons in the next meeting, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that, or can we just leave it without?
You're just tabling. You're not taking action. You don't have to make a motion to do nothing.
Okay. Very good.
We'll have this on the agenda for the next meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so now we're at item number 6, the chairman's report. The first point I want to get to now after I was absent.
Are we on 5.2?
CRA update,
Right.
5.2.
It's not on my,
Here.
okay. CRA update, okay,
Okay, so
it's
just really
missing.
quickly for the CRA updates, we have a new assistant director that will be starting with us on January 17th. His name is Matt Jackson. He will be coming to us from the city's Park and Recreation Department. He has prior to him working in Parks and Recreation, he worked as a senior planner with the city of Clearwater. He comes highly recommended, and with a mirage of talents. He has his master's degree in urban planning, and his business has a BA also in growth management and environmental services. So with the CRA expanding to having a new CRA coming on board for the Greenwood Association, he'll be coming on board to work with us in that capacity, and additionally overseeing other CRA initiatives. And he will be starting the 17th, so he will be at next month's board meeting. And again, his name is Matt Jackson.
Great.
Other than that, we have concluded our CRA holiday extravaganza voucher program, and it ended on the 31st of December. Couple program notes: we had 1,309 individuals registered for vouchers that they could be redeemed at participating businesses in the downtown and also in the CRA, in the Gateway area. And for our webpage, we had 5,034 views of that webpage where people went to actually download the voucher. Next month, I'll be able to provide you the outcome information in terms of how many vouchers were redeemed and the actual impact on the businesses that participated in the voucher program.
Very good.
And that's all I have for CRA updates.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now I'll move on to the chairman's report. I want to get to what the gentleman had brought to our attention earlier, and that was a couple of meetings ago. I had raised the idea of the board, as a board, initiating some ideas of the direction we wanted to go forward in, and ideas for improving in the downtown, rather than just being in a passive role and having people bring things to us, having us come up with some initiatives or some ideas on things that we could push forward and have something proactively done to improve our downtown. So the way I propose going about this is on a gradient, instead of carving out, a week to discuss this or something. At the next meeting, setting aside like a 30 to 40 minute block of time where each of us talks for several minutes about their ideas, and if between now and then you could maybe come up with 2 or 3 ideas that you could briefly discuss, and we'll see which one of them sticks to the wall and has the interest of the rest of the staff, of the rest of the members, and we could pursue or go forward or do whatever, depending on the outcome of what those are. So if that's acceptable to all of you, I propose that we add that to the agenda for next month.
I love it.
Okay, and then going on with events. The Market Marie is on the second Saturday of the month, on January 8th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. The Peace Concert Series presents Made in America on January 9th at Peace Memorials. Showtime is 3 p.m. Those are always excellent, so I recommend them. Clearwater Arts Alliance Public Art Walk, the third Saturday of the month, on January the 15th at 10:30 a.m. or 4 p.m. The Clearwater Hispanic Farmers Market, the third weekend of the month, January 15th and 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then Through the Lens of Clyde Butcher, America's Everglades free art exhibit, now on display at the Clearwater Public Library, and that's going to be here with us until May 31st. So there's quite a bit of activity going on that people can take advantage of in our downtown. And with that, let's go on to board members to be heard. Final comments?
Yeah, I simply want to wish everybody a happy new year, a very prosperous one for the downtown area, and looking forward to seeing what happens.
Great. Shahab?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank and congratulate the 2 new or re-elected members. I personally voted for both of you. I thought you guys were wonderful, and I look forward to seeing many years of you having some leadership role in downtown. Having joined this group a couple of years ago, we've come a long ways from a very slow downtown with the help of the city council and the CRA. It's been a very interesting ride, despite the issues we ran into with the right off the bat with the COVID and all the stuff that followed. So with that, I'd like to thank every one of you for what you do. It's very highly unpaid and not very thankful, but it is appreciated. I do get approached by different people in downtown who actually ask questions and comment, and the more we are known, the better we will do. So I love it that actually we start coming up with ideas rather than as a passive. I mean, appreciate what the CRA does, but we could do things and put forth. So I want to wish everyone a brand new, happy new year ahead of us. And it's very exciting to see all the dust come into my apartment, but I actually very much welcome it because I see a great future for this town.
Thank you.
Likewise, the CRA in the city, I thought, I've been down here a few years now, and from the beginning of the tree lighting, what was created in Station Square was really beautiful this year. So that all the festivities, very subtle but elegant and very nice. So anyway, Happy New Year.
Very good.
Yes, I just want to welcome everyone back and happy holidays. And I want us to try to strive for a more positive and productive downtown. Thank you.
Two things. Paris, I think it's a great idea to be more active and kind of put the task for people to add 2 or 3 ideas to the next meeting. So I think that's wonderful, and thank you for putting that together, and thank you, sir, for following up. The second thing, in terms of, I want to put the idea in everyone's head in terms of for our next discussion about the coordination campaign or committee, whatever we want to call it. I take to heart the concern in terms of potential optics for other grant requesters. And so coming up, if we all come up and think of over the next month at ways to address that, however we envision the coordination committee and our involvement, I think we want to make sure we're taking that to heart and coming up with ways so that optically we're not being unwelcoming to other grant requesters in the future. So I'll just throw that out there for folks to think about in the next month.
Good point. Terry?
With Tampa now being the hottest growth market named for 2022, I look forward to all of our expansion as a committee and being proactive. So I like that idea, and I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Mr. Mayor?
Well, Happy New Year. I want to thank all of you for what you do. I think this was a good grant this evening. I thought that the 12 days of Christmas and everything that went on downtown this holiday season was dynamite, something to build upon. I think we still need to be vigilant. We have seen 2 establishments close, and they're being gutted right now. And I have to say, I'm also concerned that I've gotten some phone calls from people who want to open places downtown and can't get more than a month lease. A month lease is like offering no lease at all. No one can make an investment in a property with a month lease. So that's something that has to be addressed. And I plan to do it along with the rest of the council because it's unacceptable. We can't move forward. And we need to be setting the game plan for when Imagine Clearwater opens. June of 23 will be here before we know it. And we've got to expand beyond the 400 block, strengthen the 500 block, and continue to move east. And also we'll have all the streetscape and the East Gateway done and the new pavilion, and that's also very important, and we can't lose sight of it. So, thank you all.
Very good.
And I have to agree with the mayor that the month-long lease is something that has been brought up to me when I've been out in public at restaurants in downtown. And we do need to address that. But I also wanted to applaud the chairman for his suggestion that you take some initiative and bring up ideas for how the board itself can make some improvements downtown. I think that's terrific. And I wish everybody a very successful and prosperous 2022.
Very good. I would like to join in and welcome you guys back. I'm glad you're back with us. We would have been in a different place without you. We appreciate having you on the board. And I think we have some challenges ahead of us, but I think we're on the cusp of great things. If we can just all work together, I think we can get there. And everybody's ideas are welcome, and everybody's efforts to improve our downtown are welcome. So thank you very much. It's 6:39. This meeting is adjourned.